Hey, hey, welcome in, dear ones. Keri, Kenney coming your way with great purpose, with great purpose. I hope, intention isn't always impact, but my hope today is to hold a little space here to support us in our ability to regulate, in our ability to stay resourced, to self-soothe, to take care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, collectively. On Monday, I shared a post on Substack that felt like a little bit of a rant, but at the same time, just something I am seeing and I've been seeing for quite some time is dysregulation and the normalization of dysregulation, meaning like we are stressed out, we are fatigued, we are fragmented, we are dissociated, and I'm not judging any of these things. They are very real responses of our mind, our nervous system, our physical body as we move through this human experience, this collective human experience. So in no way am I ever judging this, and I really hope that you yourself are not judging you either for being stressed out, for being under-resourced, for being dysregulated in any capacity, big, small, subtle, gross, whatever it is. I just think there is a lot of power in sharing truth and allowing one to rant to some degree and share what is on their heart, their chest, their mind, their psyche, their shoulders, but not to be someone who just points at problems and calls out issues. My hope is that as I do that, we're also creating space for repair. We're also holding space for remedy. We're also creating space for solutions. So, in support of my Monday Substack, which was all about being done with dysregulation, and I named that, and I know I'm not ever going to be done with dysregulation. I am in this world as it is. I work in spaces with folks that are going through very stressful, hard, traumatic, grief-stricken experiences and times. So, like, of course, I'm going to be disrupted and dysregulated. I am just done with allowing that to maintain, allowing that to be normal, and not naming it and not giving us space, time, resources, solutions that can support us through those hardships. And those, again, really human experiences. It's your mind and your body doing its absolute best to take care of you where you are as you are. So breathe with me here and know that today I'm going to share a little bit of like a conversation. And then my hope is at the end of the share, we'll go into a short, sweet regulation practice, something that we can do in real time as dysregulation occurs. So I thank you so much for being here. I hope Substack does not like clear out anything that I just shared, because sometimes when I go live and then email it out to you, I notice that there's a little bit of a loss in this like entrance piece of the share. So Substack, please don't cut any of this out. I would love the whole thing to be shared today. And again, my hope is that we create some solutions together in real time. We can only be as well as the environments that we're in, y'all. And dysregulation is normalized large scale. We are conditioned to produce, to stay in line is kind of what the my Monday Substack was like, to stay in line, to stay in formation, or to say, enough is enough and I need to come into my authentic alignment. I need to focus on and feel into what is right for me in the moment that I am in, and know that I have the capacity, the courage to do the radical thing, which might be taking a deep breath, might be moving my body, might be saying, you know what, no, enough is enough. I need some time, I need some space. And I say all that, and I know that sometimes that's a privilege. And I want to use my privilege right here and now to open our minds and hearts to like the conflict of this being a privilege. All of us should have access to space and support and ease. And unfortunately, though, that is not the reality that we're living in yet. But like I mentioned in the Substack from Monday, I'm done with dysregulation. These ideals, these systems, these patterns that get placed upon us as well as within the spaces that we're in are made up of you and me, people. So if we can get to the people that create these systems themselves and start to actually feel from the inside out the dysregulation, as well as what is possible when we regulate ourselves through, again, movement, breath, naming it for what it is, not judging ourselves or each other in these stressful times and moments. I believe, I hope, I dream of a world where we can start to like change it from the inside out. So those are big structures. Inside out means I'm going to start here with me, and again to the people, because you matter, I matter, we all matter. And it's when we're in that narrative of like we don't matter and that we have to stay in line that these things continue. So the first thing that I just want to name today is like, for any collective change to happen starts with the inner work. And the inner work to happen, we have to turn the light on and we have to become aware. So step one in any process of change, as well as presence, is awareness. But I want to couple that with compassion, compassionate awareness. Meaning when I turn on that light and I start to feel and see what is happening within me, as well as around me, I'm not going to continue to judge it. I'm not going to belittle it or label it with any sort of language that can cause me to keep that loop, that cycle alive. Compassionate awareness means that I'm going to see myself with radical empathy. I'm going to see myself as the human being experiencing so much turmoil, so much trauma, so much change, be it small, be it big, whatever it is. And I'm going to love myself so much that when I become aware of, holy crap, Keri, you are stressed out. Holy crap, Keri, you are fatigued. Oh my God, you're dysregulated, meaning my heart, my mind, my body, I am out of whack, out of alignment. The compassion in that is actually what's going to change the cycle. If I stay in judgment, judging you and judging me for the very real things that my body and mind are doing to keep me surviving in this world, I'm going to stay stuck in that line, right? I'm going to stay in formation. But if I could see myself with a little bit of tenderness in that truth, if I can see you and I and each other with a whole lot more empathy and again, more expansiveness of like, holy cats, kids, we're worthy of so much more. We're worthy of so much more. And maybe, just maybe, we're the ones to create it, but again, from the inside out. So step one, my friends, always, and maybe here right now, like we take these breaths and you just become aware, compassionately aware of what is happening below the surface as well as the surface. Meaning like the rumbles in your belly, maybe the pitter patter in your chest, the tightness, the heat, all of these things, physical responses. The body never lies to us. It's our mind that like ignores, judges. Oh, there's my body being a body again. If we can meet it with a little love, compassion, oh, you're taking care of me. Oh, you're insightful, you're wise. You're like reading into more than what my eyes and my mind can actually perceive. Compassionate awareness. So those are the things below the surface. Some of the other things that we can notice above the surface is literal tension and the way the body like takes on shapes. I'm an observer and I observe with compassion and awareness, but I see so many bodies scrunched up, concaved, small. I work with a lot of people who are going through trauma and recovery and moving out of systems that keep them in such fixed formations. And I see it, especially in the yoga asana practice, when it's like, take up more space, right? Like open up that body. And we're so used to staying small. So this is about paying attention to the shape that your body goes into, as well as the sensations that are happening below the surface, and that compassionate awareness. Oh, here I am, concave, small, tight, ooh, barely able to get a big breath in, but enough to survive, enough to, get through-ish. Change the posture. Shake it out. Do something that just allows a little bit more space, fullness, ability for things to start moving through. Because just as I hold that, all that energy, like a jar, is stuck in. But if I can unscrew the lid a little bit or pop some holes in the lid or, open up that space, things can get moving. And I understand too, I want to name this, that can be really vulnerable. I also witness so many times the inability for folks to express themselves. And that's not my voice. That's not my language. That's like tears, emotion, release. So if we can start to normalize the fact that each and all of us are experiencing emotions, experiencing energy, experiencing fatigue, experiencing fragments, friction, well, then maybe we'll start to normalize the fact that there's a route through. There's remedies, there's resources, there's ways to take the dysregulation and return to the truth of who we are. Peace, peace, peace. And it's a process. But again, in real time, turning the light on, compassionate awareness. Oh, it's showing up. So what can I do to show up, to meet this, to greet this in a way that's not going to keep the cycle going, not going to keep the line information, but instead I'm going to come into alignment of what I need when I need it. And folks, as we do that for ourselves, the beautiful ripple effect here is that we start to allow others, if we haven't already, which I feel like the folks in this community, we're already kind of like doing that, engaging with it, but allowing others to have that experience as well, where we don't have to fix, we don't have to control, we don't have to manage. If I am in a space of regulation and someone in front of me is dysregulated, but they're shifting from that, I can just be there and I can validate and witness them without even the need to say anything. Good stuff right there. Okay, we could just be done with that, but I want to keep going. So again, I'm turning on the lights. I am compassionately becoming aware of what is happening within my body, as well as like physically, emotionally, mentally. And as I see it, feel it, sense it, I'm remembering that there are ways that I can support myself. Movement is a big one. And I say it a lot in the spaces that I'm in. Like if you see me out in the world, especially the grocery store, I feel so much that I can start to concave and get dysregulated. I also have like memories in the past, people I love, and I just think of all the hardship that comes from basic needs being such a challenge to meet, prices, all that stuff, right? So I know that when I'm in those environments, I'm taking on, trying not to, everybody else's stuff. So I tell my folks, you might see me in the grocery store, that the weird lady that's like, okay, I need to stretch. I am swaying with the music that's on, right? I'm doing which is in my capacity to support me in the now, the here, the now. So later, I don't have to wring so much out. So movement, changing the shape of our body, as well as using this thing that's always with us, y'all, and that's our breath. This inhale to exhale, this exhale to inhale. Come on, do that with me now. That was a space of 3 cycles of breath. And I know just from my own personal felt sensation right here and now, like that gave me ease. 3 slow, deep, intentional breaths to help me stay resourced, to help me stay regulated. And what's really neat, y'all, is there's this thing called mirror neurons. Our brain, we don't even have to tell folks what to do, but when they see it, they respond accordingly, which is why like dysregulation becomes so contagious. We are reflections of one another. So until someone does the brave and radical thing of like breaking that cycle, or, changing that shape, or, I'm not going to hold my breath here, I'm actually going to flow it out, that creates change. That creates capacity. That creates like a collective relational response of validating just how absurd these things can be, right? And here's the thing with that. using your breath to stay resourced. Just like the compassionate awareness is step one with any sort of change, any sort of response to the here and the now. You don't have to manipulate your breath at all. Maybe you just start with paying attention to the relationship of your breath of, okay, I'm holding my breath, or these are really shallow breaths. And again, we're not judging any of that. We're going to love ourselves so much that we're like, duh, you know what? You're going to yell like, duh, I'm holding my breath, because if I take a deeper breath, I'm going to start to cry or scream. Which if you're in a space with me, I'm always going to call that in and say, yes, go for it, please. I'm with you. Let's do this. But again, that's not normal yet. I got faith that one day, please, that'll be the normal way of us moving through this world of just like, yep, you got grief, you got trauma, you got a very real human experience happening. Let's move through this together as best we can, right? So with the breath, again, maybe building a relationship, which is paying attention to the breath itself. Inhale, exhale. But the breath is really unique. It's an involuntary action that we can voluntarily control. And I use control lightly here, but like manipulate, use to our advantage here, right? Like I can take this thing that is continuously happening as long as I'm still alive here on the planet. I'm loving the birds, by the way, behind me. But I can start to like use it. And when it comes to being dysregulated, which means again, I'm just overwhelmed or underwhelmed, dissociated out of my body, not here, not present, because it's too much. It's too much. So when I'm paying attention to that, compassion and awareness, rearrange the shape, tune into the breath. And with this, really focusing on the exhale. You might count your inhale, and maybe it's a count of 2, 3, 4. And that's great and wonderful, right? Awareness. Okay, I have a 2 count inhale. Well, maybe we can take that exhale just down a little deeper, 3 count, 4 count. And these things don't just like magically happen, and they're not always easy, okay? And sometimes they're a little uncomfortable at first, but it's the discomfort that's going to set you free, okay? It's like the discipline here of like getting free, the devotion to myself and what I'm willing and able to do in the here and now that's actually going to break the change, the cycles, and allow me to experience again some peace, some ease, if even for those breaths. So again, we could stay with just the awareness, compassion awareness of this breath, this involuntary action, or we can start to lengthen those exhales out. And the energy here with the exhale is about coming down into the body. I also like to think of it as rooting down deeper into the earth. I'm held, I'm here, and so are you. And on a physiological level, my friends, we got this thing in our belly, our vagus nerve. And when I exhale, just a little bit more than my inhale, I start to actually stimulate the response that shifts my nervous system, maybe from that fight, flight, freeze, fold, dysregulation response into more of a digestive response. Okay, I'm taking in the world, I'm taking in my feelings, I'm taking in my experience, as well as a calming response. And when I'm in a calm response, I have my power, and I'm less likely to get into the formation, again, mirror neurons, what I'm seeing around me, which is total dysregulation, no judgment, no judgment, but to like, okay, that's not the vibe I'm feeling right now. I want to come back home. I want to feel my feet on the earth. I want to feel the wisdom in my belly. And I want to feel, I'm here, I'm now, I'm capable. So, compassion and awareness, step one. Paying attention to the shape of the body. Can we rearrange? Can we adjust? Can we move? Can we do something that would be of benefit, if even for a breath? Coming into the awareness that you have breath, this resource that's going to be with you all throughout your life. Use it. Vital life force energy, my friend. And maybe after we take 2, 3, 4, 5 of those, and we meet and greet the natural rise and fall, that's maybe when I can start to lengthen that exhale. Another thing that I do is I place my hands on my body, which I know might be weird, but like for me, that gives me a grounding sensation, as well as like I can feel the breath coming into my belly and the breath coming out, which this whole space, vagus nerve, taking in everything around us. Like, I want to keep that resourced and regulated so I can be more responsive, more calm, more at peace. One last thing for today that I would really like to share with us. So again, we got movement, we got breath. Now I want us to pay attention to this thing right here, our head space, our mental space, okay? And I say this in all my spaces, and I'll say it again and again. We cannot trust every thought that we have. But in that compassion awareness, as I turn on the light and tune into, oh my gosh, this, like what's happening here? We can have so many thoughts all at the same time. It's pretty remarkable, this thing that we're in, this human experience that we're in. But so much is plugged into the trauma and the dysregulation and the stress and and that's a good thing to do too, some voice stuff as well. But maybe come up with a mantra. Come up with something that is like a affirmative statement, a powerful statement of a focal point that can, that tornado of chaos in the mind to like, oh, I am here. I am held. I am loved. I am made on purpose with great purpose, right? Like those type of things, those type of truths really support me in a world that is filled with illusion and ignorance and individualization of like, we don't matter, when again and again everybody does, everything does. So you got to tune out of that channel and come back into the current of like your own alignment, your own authenticity. What are we going to say to ourselves? And the more that I can compassionately and honestly speak to myself from that space, the better I'm able to like communicate out into the world, right? Like I'm going to be less judgmental. I'm going to be more patient. I'm going to be more present because I'm here. I'm here with my feet on the floor, my breath in my belly, my mind focused as best that it can in a very chaotic world. Thoughts. And that just feels good to share. And that feels good to like work with, tune to, and do our best, okay? Always curious to anything that's coming up, right? Follow the dog's leads. They know what to do. They don't overthink it. Animals, they go through some intense turbulence, dysregulation moment, and they shake it out. They take a big breath. They carry on. They rest when they need to rest. For us, we have just been conditioned to stay in that line of formation of productivity, profit over people. And we've really lost that ability to stay resourced to our peace. So again and again, I got to remind you, every time that you come home to that for yourself, you are creating pathways, you're creating ripples bigger than the moment that you're in and bigger than you. But for that to happen, it has to start with you from the inside out. So those are the fun facts of, moving from dysregulation into regulation. Of course, there's so much more of that authenticity piece, that alignment to your own needs. Like maybe it's journaling, maybe it's getting outside, but sometimes these things are like a privilege and inaccessible for folks. So what is accessible for you? And how can you use your privilege, your power to ensure that those around you are able to experience that access, that resource, that space, that time for them to be well as they can be too. So I'm going to take a little sip of coffee here, and then I think I'm going to shift into a practice where we're going to work on breathing into our bellies and then taking on a little bit of a shape that can either help stimulate this vagus nerve or create some ease in our body. So we'll have some flexibility, some choice as far as if we want to take the shape or not. But first, coffee. But first, coffee, and but second, dog snugs. I got my two partners in peace right here, as well as play, which play is a really great way too to stay regulated and resourced. When was the last time you just allowed yourself to play? And that could be drawing, that could be a game, bouncing a ball, whatever it might be, dancing in the living room, like different things that just help you stay aligned to your truth, your peace, your joy, your disruption of all the disruption that just wants to keep us in that loop of disruption. Okay. So finding, if you want to, if you feel called, just some comfortable seat and maybe like a little rock left to right, maybe a couple circles of the hips, rolling out the shoulders. Like we don't even have to label this, just allow it. And then I'm going to reach my arms up over my head, take a big breath in. And on the exhale, I'm going to shake it out a little bit. And I'm going to invite us into 2 more cycles of breath just like that, like letting the inhale expand the spine, maybe lift the hands overhead, maybe not. You got choice, you got choice, you got choice. And on the exhale, just a little shaking out, wrists, shoulders, spine. Oh. And as I settle into a little bit of stillness here, I'm going to start to close my eyes. That feels good in my body. That might not feel good for you. Keep them wide open, or maybe you find somewhere soft in front of you. Just allow the lids to kind of close and soften. Whatever feels right for you. I'm going to bring my hands to the top of my legs and just kind of move them around a little bit. Feeling that felt sensation. Can you feel where you are connected to the ground? Can you feel your own hands on your body? And you could stay with that for as long as you need if it feels nice, if it feels good. And now I'm just going to invite us in to start to feel our inhales and feel our exhales without the need to adjust, change. Maybe softening the lips. Maybe softening out the brow, the forehead, as best you can. This might be enough for you today, just to stay in that space of resourced and here with your breath. We're going to play a little bit with some deep belly breathing. So I'm going to bring my hands to the softest part of my body, right where the rib cage ends and where the hips have yet to come in, that soft space, wise space. This is actually the space that Manny is named after, Mani Pura, space of wisdom and light, as well as that physiological space where we can start to cultivate calm. And as I bring my hands into that soft spot of me, I want to greet it with some love, right? Like we're not here to judge our body more than we already have, but like, hello, body. I'm here. I love you. I appreciate you. And in this space, y'all, doing your absolute best to just bring the breath down into your very palms, into that very soft spot. And see if you can like really fill it up with your inhale, almost like we're like blowing into a balloon, a beach ball, or just the beautiful sun within you. And as you fill it up, pause for just a moment, just like a gentle little pause into that space of fullness. And then exhale. Think about letting as much go as you can into this space. And remember, it's not always comfortable. It's not always easy. For me, I always notice a little bit of a resistance at first to anything that would be of benefit to my heart, to my soul, to my calm. So if I can work beyond that resistance, stay with it. I would love if we could spend the next 60 seconds together here, just breathing in a way that our bellies expand and fill and rise, and we hold that for just a pause before exhaling and emptying as much as you can out from that space. And if it helps you to count those inhales, to count those exhales, find what helps you stay with your body, your breath. Last few cycles, really expand as much as you can and surprise yourself, surprise yourself. And thank yourself. No effort goes wasted. One more at least. And on that next exhale, just see how much you can really release, as well as paying attention to how you feel right here and now. So that is enough. Or sometimes we need a shape, right? And not everywhere we're going to have access to like take on a different shape or hold a pose. But what I like about the deep belly breaths is I can be anywhere. I can be in my car, my eyes can be wide open, I can be listening to music, I can be pushed in the grocery cart, right? Like I can be listening and taking in someone else's experience, and I can keep myself resourced with those deep belly breaths. That's why Buddha had a big old belly, y'all, because he was a peaceful warrior, right? He was filled with breath, with air, with light, with love. And we have that capacity too. So know that this is enough, or if you could do it now or later, another way that we can stay regulated on a physiological way is folds. And I got my pillow here, and I can bring it onto my belly, and you could have multiple pillows. Somebody, you might be at home with your yoga blocks, bolsters, you might not, towels, sweatshirts. And as you put that into my belly, and your legs could be whatever shape too, y'all. I'm more comfortable in cross-leg position. And just allowing yourself to like come over and take a couple breaths in and out. And breathing in that way that the belly fills, softening. regulating. You could be in a chair as well. Could also just be laying down on the floor and having something soft underneath your belly. Just want to make sure I don't spill my coffee. But this is really what I'm talking about when I think of like our own personal alignment. Like it might look different, the shape might look different, yet the benefit here is the same, and that's us being resourced and regulated and remembering that we are peace. We are worthy of peace. We are deserving of peace. Another nice one too, y'all. And you could have your legs up on a chair or a wall or even a stack of pillows. Just allowing a little lift of those legs. What I like about this is I can bring my hands to that soft part of my belly, right? And just imagine if we took some time and space, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, to give ourselves this gift. To give us this pathway home into our ease, into our truest of power. And as we start to cultivate those patterns, those habits for ourselves, also imagine a world where we open that invitation to anyone. Hey, you need to get your legs up on the chair. Hey, you need to take a fold. Hey, you need to take a couple big breaths with me. Let's go. Let's do this. Honestly, this is feeling really nice. And I also am very blessed. I have a view of the sky and the trees and the birds, as well as my buddies next to me. I hope wherever you are, you're taking the best care of you as best that you can. And I just bow deeply to any of the ways that you're sharing that within the world. There's more tricks up my sleeve too, y'all. I'm sure you have some as well, so feel free to share. If this was a benefit, let me know. It gives me courage and gusto to continue making videos like this. And again, like we're deserving of knowing peace and calm. And it allows me to see through all the illusions and all the ignorance and all the judgment. We are powerful. Thank you for being here with me today. Appreciate you. And keep taking care of you. Words are always hard. I love y'all so much.